Good morning. It's Sally Morgan, physical therapist, craniosacral therapist, and Tellington T-Touch practitioner for animals and people. This is Tristan. He's a Corgi, and we're here for an episode of Conversations with a Corgi. And I am just so busy that I have no way to predict when I'm going to be able to do this, so it's just random. But I have a pretty light week this week, so you might see me 3 or 4 times this week. Anyway, Saturday was Tristan's birthday. He turned 10. He's a 10-year-old Corgi now. Definitely middle-aged. So he had a really fun time at his party. We invited our dachshund friends and our cairn terrier buddy, and of course the baby Corgi named Arrow that belongs to my friend Joe. And something came up during the party which I think is interesting to talk about, so that's what we're going to talk about today. And of course the dachshunds are about 13 years old now, and they are not always the friendliest of dogs with other dogs or even people, and particularly children. But they have been able to be friendly with the corgis I've had in their lives, which would be Comet. Comet was a very kind of confident dog. Every dog that Comet met, he was friends with. The other kind of dog that is like that are the dogs that are somewhat timid, where they just let the other dog, do whatever they want. And so they cooperate that way. But Comet was very confident. I'll never forget when he ran out on the beach and there were 5 corgis out there playing. They were all Tristan sized, pretty little guys, from Pittsburgh. And the woman was like, get your dog. Our dogs aren't friendly. And I knew Comet had never had any disagreement, even of barking, with another dog. And he ran out there and started swimming. He is not a swimmer, to be with the other corgis. And the people stopped. I mean, these are very experienced agility trainers, obedience trainers. They've had a lot of corgis. And they said, wow, that dog is unusual, because our dogs are just, really cooperating with anything he wants. And, he must be very confident. And I was like, well, I guess he is. He's been through a lot of T-Touch training with me. And, he's very big for a Corgi. I think that helped him. Just his presence made other Corgis be like, okay, buddy, you're in charge. So we had a little disagreement at the party with the 5-month-old baby Corgi and the dachshunds. And the upstart of it was that my friend said, that's just dogs being dogs. And that is so true. And I think so often people really disrupt dog dynamics in a way that's not helpful. And you've got to be a really skilled dog handler and a really knowledgeable person about dog signals to be able to understand what to do when dogs are meeting and it's not going all happy friendly. So the friendlier dachshund came in first, and he was on his leash, and there was a lot of barking, and then he calmed down, and he saw the baby Corgi immediately. The baby Corgi is now bigger than Tristan, so don't be thinking this is a teeny weeny puppy. He's a big fella. And we let the dachshund loose, and within a couple of minutes, he was chasing the baby Corgi around the house in a not friendly way. And really, we should have put them all outside. This might have been a little easier, because then there would have been room for them to run. But what happened was, a couple of times, the baby Corgi either just flattened out like a rabbit and waited, or he ran into a corner. Now, the dachshund was not trying to kill the little Corgi or bite him or anything like that, but he's very bossy. And his brother, the dachshund's brother, is very sick. And his people said that since that second dachshund has been sick, this one, who's always been very mellow, has gotten a lot more fierce and bossy. So the little Corgi got chased into the laundry room. He was trying to run to the door outside. He knew where the safe place was. And I went after them. And, the Corgi's laying down with his head on the floor like, no, no. And the dachshund was barking him up right in his ear, which is what I see a lot. And I just grabbed the dachshund and pointed him in the other direction. And his mother, of course, was calling him, and he went back that way. And the baby Corgi cried a little bit because he was scared. But then he got up, and he loves me, so I petted him a little bit, and then he was okay. And his dad came in, and that's when I said, I'm so sorry for your baby Corgi being chased. And he said, it's dogs being dogs, which is true. So many dogs work things out if we don't interfere. And like I said, it would have been far better for them to have an acre and a half to run around in my fenced yard than to introduce them in the house. But, it was a birthday party. There was food, there was people, there was stuff going on. And, we purposely had people come at a staggered time so that the dogs could, settle in and kind of get okay with Tristan and the house and everything before we brought in the extra dogs. And so then the person with the dachshund did a very smart thing. She put her dachshund on a leash, maybe 7 feet long, and kept him kind of with her, kept the toys and the people away so there would be no possession guarding or people guarding, and gave him some stuff to eat. Very important to feed them in this situation, because when you're eating, you're in that rest digest part of your parasympathetic nervous system, which is much more comfortable than being in the stressful sympathetic nervous system response. So we got the dachshund calmed down, and that helped. And we also fed the baby Corgi, which calmed him down. And of course, then he's playing with Tristan and everything's fine. And he ran over to his dad for some reassurance. So, Tristan, are you looking beautiful? He needs a bath. This dog. So anyway, we got the baby Corgi calmed down. But the long and short of it is, you need to really watch your dog with other dogs. You can't turn away for even a moment, because things can get bad quickly. But you also need to let the dogs work it out on their own to a certain extent, because especially with a baby dog, he's learning how to be with other dogs. Now he is, I have to say, pretty timid with other dogs, and he's still a baby. When he's about a year or a year and a half old, he's going to start to come into his own and have a little bit more oomph behind him, and he may start to not let other dogs bark him up like that. And that's when you've got a problem. So, because then they could have a fight. Like on the beach this summer, one of the only times Tristan's had a real fight in his life, he was guarding the people of another dog who was far bigger than him and recently rescued. And that dog lunged into Tristan, and Tristan fought back. That is not a good thing. And in that case, Tristan had to be picked up and removed immediately. And he does this sometimes. I've got to really watch him, because he's super friendly and he likes other people. And sometimes the other people's dogs take exception to that. And Tristan is very possessive with people. So I have to be ready to grab him. Luckily, he's small. I can pick him up and carry him away. And usually, oh yes, you were a bad boy at the Corgi picnic too. You barked up some lady when her dog wanted to see her. But we were able to get you away from that situation. So, the important thing is to let your dogs meet other dogs and act like dogs and do what dogs do. Having them loose in the backyard is ideal. One of the worst ways for dogs to meet new dogs is on a leash. There's too much going on in that situation. Dogs are afraid because they can't get away when they're on a leash. Dogs are guarding their people. Maybe the person's holding a toy or treat, so they've got to guard that. It's a lot of responsibility for a dog when he's on a leash, and they really have a hard time meeting new dogs. And in fact, the one dog that Tristan had a little fight with at the Corgi picnic was a dog that came in with 50 loose dogs, and the person did not take the dog off the leash. And I was talking to my friend Joe and saying, boy, I wish that lady would take the dog off the leash, because it's so dangerous for her with a pack running around in here to keep him on a leash. And finally, I think the lady sponsoring the picnic asked her to please take her dog off the leash for his safety. And, and Tristan had been watching all of this, and I think that he was a part of the situation after he saw the dog on the leash. So it's really important to let your dogs just meet and be dogs, but don't take your eyes off of them for a second, because like with that dog at the beach, there was some barking, and the other dog barked Tristan back, and then the problem was the were two people. The people started to try to pet their dog and not just kind of sit there and be neutral. And that escalated both of them. Now, it's really hard when you've got a dog on your lap and another dog standing over you to sit there and be neutral. It takes years of T-touch training to learn how to be neutral when you've got a lot of barking and biting going on around you and hair flying. But that's what you really need to do. And many, many, many people in my dog world can do this. I am very lucky that I have a lot of dogs and dog friends and dog people And some of them are really experienced, like my friend Joe. He's had 3 dogs. He had siblings, and then he 3 dogs before this dog. He's had 4 dogs, and I don't even know what he had before he had corgis. And he's had a lot of cats. He's got a lot of experience. He really studies dogs. He's watched dogs closely. He loves to observe nature. He's a very good dog handler. But then I have my neighbor. She's only ever had 1 dog in her life, which is this super friendly Cairn Terrier, and she's also an artist. She's very observant, and she can see in a second when a dog situation is turning bad as opposed to just tense, and she is able to intervene. So you don't have to have a ton of experience. It's the kind of experience you have that makes you able to allow dogs to play and meet in a safe way, and nobody gets hurt. And you know, it's hard when you hear the baby corgi crying because you know he's really scared. Thank God for T-Touch, because we can help him calm down, and we can get the other dog away and let him get his confidence back while the other dog's sitting on the sofa on his leash, you know, a good 6 feet away from the baby corgi, who did not want to go over there. So that was not an issue. And, you know, they can work it out among themselves. And I've seen this with horses and, you know, with cats to a certain extent. People that get a second cat, you know, have to wait till things work out with the new cat. With cats, often the point that becomes a problem is when you get like that 4th one or 5th one, and there's a tipping point with guarding the litter boxes and their friends and the sunny spots in the house, and you get spraying and all kinds of cat acting out. So that can be an issue. But mostly animals are fully capable of working things out among themselves without our intervention. So you've got to be brave and let them have that time instead of holding them tightly on the leash like another friend of mine does. He holds them on a very tight leash, and he's tense and he's shaking, and he says, be nice, be nice. Which makes the dog he's holding, no matter who it is, be like, what's going on? What's going on? Is something bad happening? What am I not noticing here? Not the best way for a dog to meet another dog. So anyway, thanks for joining us today for this episode of Conversations with a Corgi, where we talked about letting dogs be dogs. And we will be back, I don't know, tomorrow we have dog school, maybe in a couple of days. Tristan, are you looking handsome? They can't smell the stinkiness. The stinkiness that means that you need a bath. Oh, and for those who care, this shirt has like 10 dog breeds on it. No corgis. It's a bummer. I try to tell myself the beagle is a corgi with his ears down, but it's not a corgi. Thanks for joining us. Everyone have a great day.